Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Time for a lesson dealing with ASA and AAS. These are two additional triangle congruency theorems. Yesterday we learned about side, 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 and side, angle, side. And now we're learning about two other ones. They're ASA, which is angle, side, angle, and then AAS, which is angle, angle, side. ASA and the A's, those things. They're very similar to these two. Just if you have two triangles with three pairs of things matching or three pairs of things are congruent, then the rest of the parts of the triangles are going to be congruent. So if you're looking for what angle, side, angle is, you have two angles that are congruent to two angles in another triangle, and then the side between them. The order of these letters does matter, because if you look at angle, angle, side, it's a little bit different. The way you can easily tell if it's angle, side, angle is the side is between the two angles. So you'll see on the picture here, angle, angle, and then the side between them. Angle, angle, and the side between them. These are angle, side, angle congruence triangles here. Angle, angle, side means that you have two angles that are congruent, but the side is not between them. So if you look at this one, you got A and B congruent to D and E. But then the side that's congruent is not between those two angles. So that's going to be angle, angle, side. You do have to be careful. Make sure this side goes off of the same angle. See how it goes from this one arc on this, on both of them. You just make sure you're going from the same congruent angle on those. So those are the theorems. In this first section on your assignment, you just need to say, how are these two triangles congruent if they're congruent? If I look at number 7 here, I got a pair of congruent angles, I got a pair of congruent angles, and then this side, and this one also has a side, and that's going off of the two congruent markings angle there. And so we're looking at angle, angle, and then side. And this one's got side, angle, angle. But are those the same? Angle, angle, side, and side, angle, angle? Yes, they are. Because if we were just take this triangle and rotate it, about 90 or so degrees, 100 something. It's going to look the same as this. It's going to line up. So yeah, if your triangles, you can just rotate a little bit. They're going to line up. Then that's good. So yes, these are going to be congruent. I'm going to say yes by angle, angle, side. So that's the main idea. You just have to write yes or no. If you put yes, which theorem says those two triangles are congruent? And let's try another one. Jump to number 4 and figure out if these two triangles are congruent. So on these triangles, we got an angle congruent here, and then we got these boxes. Those are also going to be congruent because they're both right angles, which are 90 degrees, which means they're congruent to each other. So yeah, they're both 90. But that's all we have right now. Well, you may remember this property about two intersecting lines here. If you have two intersecting lines that look like this, they form a bunch of angles. You got angle here, 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 and then you got like the big angles that go like that, and there's just a lot of angles. Well, the opposite angles are going to be guaranteed congruent, and they're called vertical angles. So if I were to add some marks, these two would be guaranteed congruent because they are vertical angles. And so with that, I now have on my two triangles all the angles congruent. So that's angle, angle, angle. Well, angle, angle, angle is actually not a congruence theorem. You can have two triangles with these same angles, and they can be drastically different sizes. Like all equilateral triangles have angles that are 60 degrees, but they can be vastly different sizes. And so this does not guarantee congruence. So we can say no or not congruent or not guaranteed congruent. We're just going to put no on this one. So be aware of that. So on this one, we learn about vertical angles. If you have two lines crossing, these opposite angles are guaranteed congruent. Those are vertical angles. And if you only have angles that are congruent, then the triangles are not guaranteed to be congruent. They are going to be similar, but they're not going to be guaranteed the same size. So let's jump to another one. Let's look at number 1. See if you can figure out if these two are guaranteed congruent. If we look at our top one, we got an angle. We got two angles there. And on the bottom one, we do have two angles. But there is this shared side, and we learned about this yesterday. If there is a shared side, it is not going to be different distances for the two triangles. It's shared. It's the same one. So you can actually add a mark there. That's the reflexive property. Lets you put that. So we do have, for both triangles, two angles and then the side between them. Two angles and the side between them. So these do complete angle, side, angle. And so we're going to put yes by angle, side, angle. So yeah, that's what's going on in this first section. Just look at the two to see if they're guaranteed congruent or not. On the next section, you need to figure out what information is still needed to complete the theorem it's stating. So on number 11 here, you're trying to complete angle, angle, side. Well, if you look at our two triangles, we got angle, 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 angle. You need to figure out what's missing. Well, if we're trying to complete angle, angle, side, we need a side. So what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and write down which sides need to be congruent to complete angle, angle, side. Take a moment to do that. Hopefully you have an answer. One possible answer are these two. So you can have HI congruent to VW. But that is actually not the only answer. You could have also picked these sides here. Notice they're both going from the one arc measurement there. So you could have GI congruent to UW. That is also an acceptable answer. So just be aware of that. Either these two or these two, but not both. You only need one pair to match up to finish angle, angle, side. So that's going on in that section. Very similar to yesterday. And just find out what's missing and write down what needs to be congruent to finish it. And now we're on to our final section. No. Yeah, we're going to jump to our final section. So in our final section here, if you look at 18 through the end here, you need to write a proof. So this is what we're getting at to in this unit is writing a proof that two triangles are congruent. And when we write proofs, is very similar to when we're writing proofs earlier. You need to be able to list what things are congruent and why. So this is an example proof, which I recommend writing down so you can see it. When you look at your picture here, you're given some information, like there'll be congruent marks, such we have these congruent marks. And if they're already on the picture, those things are given to you. And so when we structure our proof, we're going to do two columns. We got statements on the left, reasons on the right. And we can automatically write down what things are congruent on our triangles already and say we have those because they were given to us. So this proof is actually almost done. We need to say what are the three pairs of things that are congruent. Well, we have two. We got sides here, but we do need another thing. Luckily, we have in the middle here vertical angles. And so we can say these angles in the middle are congruent to each other. And so that's going to be my next line. I'm saying those two angles are congruent. And then the reason I'm going to put is it's not given this time. But instead it's vertical angles. Because it wasn't on the picture already, we had to surmise this. We had to come to this conclusion by looking at what we had. And we came to the conclusion that they're vertical angles. And so that's going to be a reason there. And so now that we've established the three pairs of things that are congruent, we can say the triangles are congruent by one of our triangle congruence theorems. In this case, this was side, angle, side. On your assignment, you're going to be using the angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side theorem. So let's write out a proof for number 18. We're going to make our two columns again. We got statements. And over here, we're going to put reasons. And we need to refer to things on these two triangles here. So let's go and put some names. I'm going to be boring. Let's do A, B, C, D, E, like this. You can do your own letters, but it makes it a little bit harder to follow them. So let's just do A, B, C, D, E right now. And we're going to say the things that are congruent already. I notice I get a congruence mark here and here. So I can actually put angle ABC is congruent to DEC. Remember, when I list my letters, it draws my angle. So ABC, DEC, nice. And those are congruent because it was given to us. It's on the picture already. The next piece of congruency I have is we have these two segments congruent to each other. So that's not AB. That's BC congruent to EC. That was also given to us. So we've established that we got some pieces of our triangles that are congruent. There is another pair of things congruent. Let's see if you can identify them. You know, just like point at it or circle or something. Hopefully you notice these angles here in the middle. We do have congruent angles in the middle here because they are vertical angles. Anytime you have two lines crossing, the opposite angles are going to be congruent. So I'm actually going to add that on my picture and state that they are congruent. My left one is BCA, angle BCA, congruent to angle, and we got ECD. And that the reason we can say that is because they are vertical angles. So now I got my three pairs of things that are congruent on my two triangles. We got two angles and the side between them, two angles and the side between them. And so these triangles are congruent by angle, side, angle. Now we're going to list our triangle names. I'm going to call this first one ABC. When you write the name of the second triangle, you do have to be careful and list the letters in the same order, in corresponding order. So this one going from A to B to C, I need to list my other letters in the order that the things match. So what vertex over here matches A, that's what you're going to put first. In this case, it's D. Right? Notice the no mark. Yeah, A and D are going to be corresponding. And my next one was B. Well, what angle matches B there? It's going to be an E. So I'm going to put D, E. And then my last one's going to be C. So there you go. That's how you write a proof. That is what we're getting into with this unit. Realizing side, angle, side, angle, side. And why are things congruent? Looking at reflexive property and vertical angles. Those sorts of things are part of our proofs. So good luck on the rest of them. May the force be with you.